So, hello, Joe. Nice to meet you, though I have met you before. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, it's been a while actually, to be honest.
yeah, those of you who don't know us, I'm Pete Stollery. I am a composer. I help run the Sound Festival. I used to work at the University of Aberdeen. And Joe is my son, who is a composer. And actually, you're not just my son, and I'm also your father. And I'm not being silly there, but I was once introduced to a group of people as the father of Joe Stollery, the composer, as opposed to you being introduced as Joe Stollery, the son of Pete Stollery, the composer. So it was a rather nice switch that you suddenly got your own freedom of identity rather than just being my son. You're actually something yourself, as it were. But yeah, okay. We're going to talk. It's going to be the first of a series of conversations that we're going to have about a piece of music that you've been commissioned to write, Joe, for the Aberdeen City Orchestra, that's taking place in St Machars Cathedral in Aberdeen on February the 20, I'm just looking, February the 28th next year, 2026.
Yeah,
And
as well.
I have the privilege of being the conductor of the concert. We're also doing Sibelius's Fifth Symphony, some music by Astor Piazzolla, and your new piece, Joe. So what we thought we'd do is have a conversation about the piece as it develops, because right now we are in the beginning of June 2025, and you haven't written a note yet, have you?
Not quite at this stage. I mean, I have been sketching. I mean, like writing out some ideas. Like this is. I'm currently sort of at the planning stage.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
I'm doing like field work and exploring and doing some research.
Great. Okay. Well, we'll get into a bit of that in some detail later on, but maybe just to start off with, just so that for people listening, looking at this who don't know your work, it'd be good to perhaps give a little bit of a background as to how you've got to the stage that you're at the moment. Say where you are in your compositional kind of journey, if you like. Um, and then we can talk maybe a little bit about the northeast of Scotland, how that inspires you. So tell us a bit about you as a composer, Joe.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm still pretty much in the early stages. I've just come out of university. I've after like 11 whole years and
Wow.
roughly about that. So
At the
pretty much
same
like
university.
pretty much continuous sort
Yeah.
of break from undergraduate to the end of PhD.
Yeah.
And I've been like composing and doing a lot of like different composing, both for the portfolio and off commission as
For
well.
your PhD, yeah. And other work outside your PhD, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
of course, yeah, stylistic wise, I tend to focus on the instrumental stuff, which was, I mean, quite a lot of people at university tend to focus on choral music because, Aberdeen is become
Yeah,
quite
it's quite well
notorious
known for its choral
vocal music. And I've
yeah,
done a few things like that as well on my own.
yeah.
But I'm not a singer, so I mean,
No, but you're
tend
mainly
to
an
focus.
instrumental composer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although you have done opera.
Yes, I've definitely done opera. I've done art song as well. I've done a
Yeah,
few choral
yeah,
pieces as well.
yeah. Quite a few, in your throughout the time that you've been developing as a composer, opera has been something that's been quite interesting, I think, for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Quite a rare sort of, I mean, I'm thinking sense, I mean, feels like quite a rare sort of opportunity that.
Yeah. So you did some work with Scottish Opera quite early on, didn't you? Some opportunities there
Yeah.
with some programs that they were running. But it's mainly instrumental music that
Yeah.
interested in
And the
you.
variety, and they tend to vary from like small chamber forces to
Yeah.
large orchestral works.
And writing for orchestra is not new for you, is it?
No,
What
I've
what
done
other orchestral pieces have you done?
well, I've one of my earlier works was a piece called Grampian Picture. which is written for roughly the same sort of size orchestration, and it's like a little sort of light overture with some neoclassical elements into it.
Yeah.
There's also Slains, based on like a local sort of landmark.
Yeah. I
Oh, good.
mean, let's talk a bit about the Grampian picture and Slains,
Yeah,
because it's interesting that in the titles, and Slains being Slains Castle, just near Cruden Bay in the northeast of Scotland, and
yeah,
Grampian picture. Your work is very much inspired by the northeast, isn't it? And you take a lot of inspiration from stories and from places, locations, and so on in your work, don't you?
yeah.
Maybe go into a bit of detail about that.
I mean, Grampian picture is more of it's more ambiguous sort of interest. I mean, it was meant. I mean, I would confess, Grampian picture was sort of like a last minute sort of title, trying to
Yeah,
work
don't
out
worry.
how.
Yeah, I mean, no, but it
With
is.
Slains, it's definitely visible there.
Yeah, but it's definitely situated in the northeast where your inspiration comes from. What is it that's so special about the northeast that gives you these ideas?
Well, I mean, for a start, I mean, there's I grew up in this landscape. I pretty much had it on my doorstep,
Yeah,
and I had a lot of adventures just wandering around all different places. And even though I think what quite impresses me most is just the variety and the mystery of this sort of like off-road sort of region.
yeah. So, like
Like
with
you got lots of natural sort of places to go, but you also got stone circles, you got ruined castles,
yeah,
and there's also little curiosities. Like there's a statue of Persephone near Benahy, which there's quite a few sculptures of places.
yeah, and
And
the stories as well are important for you, aren't they? I think.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
there's a lot of folklore, and I've been reading a lot up on quite a lot of this stuff, and there's still a lot of intriguing things about it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But at the moment, the northeast of Scotland is very important to you. So
Yeah,
with this piece that you've been commissioned to write by the Aberdeen City Orchestra, it's going to sit in a program with two composers who are very different from each other: Astor Piazzolla from Buenos Aires in Argentina and Sibelius from Finland. But the similarities with these two composers is how important the identity of the place where they were writing the music is. So the Piazzolla, it's very urban, it's very tango influenced, and it's very much situated in Buenos Aires. And Sibelius's Fifth Symphony, the sense of space that there is there is very much situated in Finland. And so that's two composers in the program whose music the location is very important. And you're the third. So I think it's actually a really good program for you to sit, in, if you like, with your music because of what we were just talking about,
yeah,
how important the roots are. At this stage of the composition, where are you at with the piece at the moment? Have we got a title yet? We know that it's going to be for the same forces as the Sibelius Fifth Symphony, which is double
yeah,
wind and temps. You may have percussion in there as well. I think you were saying to me at one point. But what ideas have you got at this stage? Can you tell us?
yeah. Well, I've got a very rough sort of working title of Postcards from Pitland,
Postcards from
which
Pictland.
might be a bit of an extremely poetic sort of one, but
Yeah.
look,
What do you
I
mean?
wasn't known for very good titles, to be
No,
honest. I
no,
mean,
but don't worry, it's a working title, so you know.
yeah.
What do you mean by Pictland? What is because
Well, I
of
mean,
the
the Northeast was traditionally a very sort of it was like an area where the Pictish culture sort of the Pictish culture was quite visible in this part of the world. I mean, it's Scotland wide as well, but
yeah.
it was
So
like
when
the
when was
Northeast as
that?
well.
When was Pictish times, if you like?
It was yes, it was shortly after after the Roman period in Britain. I think it would be like sort of fifth to about the ninth century
Yeah,
AD.
okay. Okay.
I mean, it's not strictly historical. I mean, I'm choosing the title mainly as a sort of a project title.
Sure,
Like there might be like relate connections to the historical ones, but
sure. Yeah, yeah. But with the title Postcards from Pickland, it's almost like you're creating scenes, if you like, from imaginary, I don't know, or historically accurate events
Yeah,
so that, so is the piece going to be in short sections, which might be a postcard, or has that
yeah.
not?
Well, the idea is sort of the ideas I was thinking was the idea of postcards being like sort of like it's going to be probably multi movements. And
Right.
my idea was basically to such a couple of places which have particularly sort of sparked a particular musical stimulus.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
and essentially create like a sort of a suite almost.
Yeah. Okay.
And they may or may not connect to depict historic. I'm going to try and be more like sort of slightly further as well. Be more ambivalent with it and potentially go into like sort of later periods as well.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So it may not be Pictland in the end. It may be.
Yeah, it might be more medieval, maybe
Yeah. Okay. And that's
beyond
fine.
that.
And are there any particular stories that you want to tell at the moment? You said you've been doing some reading and some research. Is there any stories or any locations that particularly attract you at this stage?
Um, yeah, there's a few that I've been coming up. I'm still working on that, but one that's been interesting me quite a bit is Gite Castle.
Gite Castle. Where's that
Yeah.
then?
It's not far from Ellen. It's
Okay.
which is like to the north of Aberdeen, yeah, it's sort of to the northwest of Aberdeen.
Right. And so tell us a bit about Gite Castle.
Okay, well, it's basically it's like a ruin that you find after like about a couple miles walk from the nearest car park. It's quite in the middle of nowhere, basically, in the middle of
Okay.
this big meadow.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And apparently, there's some brilliant sort of grisly stories associated with it.
Yeah.
I
Interesting.
believe it's the
Okay.
Gordons of Gite, I think now.
Right. So that's
I
going
think
to
there's
be the
like
stimulus for one of the
yeah,
postcards, if you like, then. Yeah.
it's not necessarily just that story, but just the whole sort of idea of the castle. I mean, I did this with Slains as well. Like
Uh-huh.
I didn't specifically tell the story of Dracula that. I just simply gave the atmosphere of the whole place.
Yeah, because the Slains
Like
Castle.
the fact it's a dangerous ruin
Yeah.
on a cliff, the big dangerous cliffside.
But Slains Castle, just to explain, is supposedly the inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. But back
yeah,
to
and,
back to Gite then. So some pretty
yeah,
horrible stuff
yeah.
that
There's lots
Gite.
of mysteries as well. Like there's also said to be like there's like a pool nearby where there's said to be treasure that's at the bottom, and yet when you go down there, the devil's said to lurk there. And I think
Okay.
there's a story about a piper who went down there to actually look for that treasure. And he
Right.
said that, and he basically gave like a gesture that he'll play something cheerful if he found it, and he came back up again, but he never did come back up
He never
again.
came back up, so you never. Right. So that gives you
There's
some.
potential for music. There's always potential music in that.
Absolutely. It's just what I was thinking. So tell me, Joe, is there a particular methodology that you use to create a piece like this, or is it different each time you do one?
Yeah, I mean, it sort of depends on the location. I mean, on like the ideas that are and stimulus that are coming through. I mean, obviously, if
Yeah.
there's a location based, I'd make efforts to actually go to that place and do some
Yeah.
field work and read about the stories and
Yeah.
any sort of accounts, or even just simply just experience the whole landscape, which I think is probably the main idea there.
Yeah.
And when
And
it,
do you take notes whilst you're there? Do you take
yeah,
manuscript paper? Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah. I mean, quite a lot of music actually ends up getting formed in my head initially.
Right.
Sometimes I sketch out the more important melodies into manuscript paper,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I don't forget about them.
Yeah. Okay.
And and usually I have a great idea of like how to begin the piece and how to end the piece.
Yeah. Yeah. How,
And
at this stage, have you got any of those sketches?
I probably should say that because I've got some right here.
Okay. All
So
right. Wow.
it's this single it's this page alone. I mean, I've been
Sure.
using this like, book for like, all sorts of different
That's
things.
it's really interesting. So it's just words at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And titles and sentences and things. Any notes at this stage? No?
No,
No.
well, not for
Okay.
this piece yet.
Yeah.
Sometimes I end up writing out little sort of rhythms or sketches maybe
Yeah.
later on.
Yeah.
But usually that comes a tiny bit later.
But is it at the
It
stage
begins with
where
words first.
these things are just floating around in your head at the moment and they're not really,
Yeah.
yeah,
I just
coming.
need to make sure that I can
Mm,
actually,
mm.
they need to coalesce in a way that I feel is suitable to actually then convey out
Yeah.
into
Because I think
notation.
what might be interesting the next time we do one of these in a month's time, maybe, is to see how the sketches have moved on, and
Yeah.
how things have developed, and some of those words are turning into little musical phrases and things like that. would be really interesting. Is there anything that you're particularly looking forward to with this piece?
Wow. I mean, well, certainly, I mean, getting to hear out loud would be quite exciting.
Yeah, yeah. I guess that's the same with all pieces, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with an orchestra like the Aberdeen City Orchestra as well, it'd be fantastic to hear
Yeah.
it played by them, certainly. Yeah. Yeah.
Because certainly when it comes to like, it's all very well having it all in my head, but
Yeah.
often you can't have them all at the same time, and assembling them together and actually hearing the resulting sound would be quite exciting.
Yeah. Because I know that Gite Castle is something that you've wanted to write about for quite a while. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And also just an idea just to write for an orchestra again. I mean, it's always very exciting,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
of
Hmm.
course, because there's just so much like different palettes you can use.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. Right. So it's really interesting to hear where you are with it at the moment, Joe. You've got a working title, you've got some words on paper, you've got some ideas about locations and things. So,
Yeah.
it's a piece that's it's going to be about 15 minutes long, isn't it? So it's going to be like, as you say, it's going to be in different movements. So I think hopefully it's going to be interesting to for listeners and viewers to see how that's going to develop over time. Okay. So what's the next stage now for you? What are you going to be doing on the piece now?
Well, I think next stage is, I mean, I'm still finalizing like the place names, but I think
Yeah.
the plan is to maybe select. I'm gonna maybe estimate maybe 4 or 5 movements.
Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, maybe of different contrasting sort of like moods and timbres. Like Gite, yeah. I mean, there's gonna might get the menace of Gite, but
Yes.
there might also be like some more peaceful ones.
Yeah.
There's another place which has sort of about music about some mysterious music being played in a church, which
Right. Oh, you
might be
could have great fun
interesting.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah,
The interesting effects that you could do musically with that. Yeah.
there might be some nature
Yeah.
actual places as well.
Great. Good. Okay. Very good. All right. Thank you very much for the insight into the piece so far. So we'll follow this up in a few weeks' time with another episode of this. But in the meantime, thank you, Joe, and good luck with the
Thanks,
composition.
Ad.
Okay. All right. See
Cheers.
you soon.